I'm 4 months into traveling solo after quitting my job as a doctor. And it's finally the year where I am trying to do something for myself. And I realized that self care and self love is not just about doing things that feel good, and it's also about discipline and going after the things you want. And it's 11 o'clock now at night. I've just arrived from a very long travel day. My flights were delayed, etc., etc. And I finally arrived now, took a shower, got into my pajamas, and wanted to go to bed. But it's posting day, and I made a commitment to myself 1 week ago that I'm going to try post on YouTube once a week and talk about my week unscripted without editing, to practice my talking and to just have something that I can commit to that's a little bit low effort, low risk. And honestly, I was gonna bunk. I was not gonna do it. I even texted my friend and I was like, okay, this whole assignment is just giving me anxiety and I'm not gonna do it. But as I got into bed, I realized the whole point of this was to have something small to work on, even when I don't want to. And I think something I've really struggled with this year, and I think since quitting my job, is putting in effort for anything, even the tiniest bit of effort. It just feels like too much. And I need to figure out how to get over that, because obviously I'm not going to achieve anything if I'm scared of effort these days. So, yeah, I really wanted to maybe make a sort of outline for this video, just so that I'm not sitting here like, what the hell do I talk about? But that didn't happen, and then I was not going to film because I didn't have an outline. But I think the whole point of this is to just do it imperfectly. So here we are. Sorry, I'm in my pajamas. Not that anyone is watching. But yeah, I thought today, since I started this series at the end of Feb, and I really wanted it to be like a week 1 out of 52 of the year and just sort of progress report my year. But since I obviously started at the end of Feb, I cannot really do that. So I thought I would just give a recap on my year so far, and talk a bit about my travels. So I'm not really gonna say exactly what I've done so far. Maybe I'll try to do videos on that. I also want to do videos on things I've learned in my travels. But yeah, because I don't have a script, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna say. But I guess just about my travels. I started traveling in October last year, and I was very burnt out when I quit medicine. Like, I was not human. And I think that's also a separate topic on its own. But it took me a good 10 months to feel okay with the idea of challenging myself a little bit to go travel. Even though it was my lifelong dream, it just seemed impossible to do in the depths of my burnout. So in October, I started. I was miserable. I hated it. I cried the whole way here on the flight. I felt like I was making the biggest mistake of my life. And yeah, when I got here, well, when I got to Thailand, I felt so alone. I felt so lonely and just like upset with myself that I forced myself to do this. I found it very hard to make friends, which is so strange because I'm obviously a delight. Um, but yeah, I found it very hard to make friends, and I also didn't really have the capacity to make friends. And so I was constantly beating myself up. Um, First of all, for not loving this as much as I was supposed to. And second of all, for not making these incredible memories that I thought I would be making. And so the whole 2 months, the whole first 2 months of my travels were sort of wrought with negativity and being so in my head and not being able to enjoy any moment for what it was, and just constantly thinking about what's next, what's next. And I think it's something that's been so conditioned in me growing up, and just life and the things I've pursued in life have all cultivated a sort of goal oriented and forward thinking approach to life and everything. And I realized that while it's very productive for achieving your goals, it's not that useful when it comes to existing peacefully with yourself. um, so the first 2 months, I was very inward focused and very much was having these sort of amazing experiences, and constantly just not feeling there, or not really feeling anything other than upset with myself for not enjoying them the way I'm supposed to be enjoying them. Um, and then near the end of December, I just completely was a bit of a wreck. I I just everything came crashing in all at once, where like all these thoughts of what the hell am I doing here? And where the hell am I going with my life? What am I doing? I've quit my job, the thing that I've worked towards for 28 years. And I suddenly, after a life of achievement and goal setting, I suddenly had nothing to work towards, which was very distressing. And I never expected it, to be honest. I sort of imagined my travels to be liberating and just feeling the most free and carefree and responsibilityless that I've ever felt. And while that is an aspect of it, no one prepared me for how disoriented one feels when one leaves the life that one has worked towards. So I really struggled with that, and just having a lack of purpose and a lack of direction, and also feeling such identity loss of being that person who sets goals and is a go-getter and achieves everything I want to achieve. And now suddenly all I wanted to do was just be happy with myself and just exist peacefully. And I couldn't do that. And I was no longer this high achieving person, but I still wasn't happy. And I was just in this in between. And I say I was, I mean, I still am. I'm just a little bit more at peace now, but it was very distressing and very difficult. Obviously, nothing can compare to how difficult medicine was, and how just miserable I was in that phase of my life. And so I guess that's something good that came out of that, is that I feel like anything I experienced from then on just can never compare to how bad that was. So I say it was really hard, but also with the knowledge and the context that, okay, it's still a better shit sandwich to eat than what I've eaten before. I don't want to negate the hardships of travel, because solo travel, solo indefinite long-term travel is hard. And that's not what the influencers tell you, let me tell you. No one said this part. They all said, woo, look at me, I'm having the best time of my life, I'm making friends, I've got friends all over the world, and like I have friends for life. And that's not really how it is. And the more people I talk to traveling who sort of are on my wavelength concur that that's not really how it is. And so I really hope, or I really wish that influencers could have mentioned this part. So the thing is, most people traveling are usually just traveling on holiday. And so those people aren't really looking to make lifelong friends. They're more just looking for people that they can hang out with and do an activity with, and then last them and go on home to their own friends. And they aren't really looking to grow from it. Usually they're just looking to have a good time. Obviously, maybe they are working at home, or maybe they're studying and they're just on holiday and just want to have a good time, which is great, good for them. That's not where I am. And then there's another group of travelers who are traveling sort of indefinitely, but I find a lot of them are not coming from the kind of high stakes career situation that I am coming from, because I think it is very uncommon for people to quit those kind of jobs or paths. So my point is that it has been difficult to meet people on this wavelength. And obviously I'm open to meeting anyone. Like, I'm not judging anyone for their paths or for who they are, how they're traveling. I'm just saying that it's been difficult to meet people who I can really connect with, because some of them are just not looking for deep connections, and others just don't get the gravity of my situation. Anyway, my point is, it's been difficult to make friends, okay? Not to say I haven't made friends, I have. But yeah, I'm rambling now, and I'm not allowed to cut this, so. So then in December, I started thinking all these things like, what's the point of doing this? Just what's the point of existing? And I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So then I did a lot of like reflection and journaling, and I realized, okay, growth isn't just going to happen naturally. And that's another thing I thought I would just naturally get from travel, is to just grow beyond recognition and become this whole new person. And after 2 months, I just felt like I was still the same person. And I'd been sold a lie yet again, that I would grow so much and my horizons would be broadened. And so I realized that that doesn't just happen naturally, and you have to actually put in the work for that to happen. So I did a lot of reflection and um, just talking about these things with my really close friends, and and so I started working on my mindset, and I realized that okay, I was miserable in medicine, and now I am literally living my dream, and I'm still miserable. And so obviously, while changing your environment has a big impact, you still are the same person no matter where you go. Okay, sorry, I suddenly panicked that I wasn't recording, so I had to check. Um, so yeah, and I decided to leave Thailand and went to Laos. And as soon as I landed in Laos, I just felt like something clicked inside me. And I felt so at peace and just really good. And yeah, I felt like all that reflection had really just come together. And with the change of environment, Laos was very different to Thailand. It just felt a lot more authentic and real. Thailand is beautiful, and I know everyone loves it. And I think my experience was very much tainted with my corrupt mindset. But it did feel very touristy, and Laos just felt much more real. So I think I just felt immediately more at peace there. And then in Laos, I got to a hostel in the north in this little village called Nong Kiao, and I fell in love with it. And I was just so happy there. And I got to know the owner of the hostel, and eventually he actually asked me for help, which is a whole story on its own. Maybe I'll do a video. But um, I ended up staying there and helping him for a month, and it just felt so fulfilling. I had no idea what I was doing, but I figured it out, and I sorted out everything that he needed sorting out. Um, and I just felt so good, and I was so scared also of losing that feeling because I had never felt peace like that in my entire existence. I just was never in my head ever. I was finally meeting people that I connected with, um, which I really struggled with in Thailand, which obviously could be connected to my mental state. Um, but I was finally meeting people that were genuine and had a story to tell, and um, just yeah, were just real people. um, and I think the biggest thing was just that I wasn't in my head. I was just being completely myself, and it felt so free and so peaceful. And I just wanted to box up that feeling and never let it go. And then I realized near the end of Jan, I think that feeling of wanting to savor that feeling of peace started consuming me, and I started being more worried about preserving that feeling, and I started that feeling that peace uh, evade me. And so fast forward to now, the beginning of March, I'm not as at peace as I was at the end of January or in January. Um, I think I realized that having that project to work on gave me a lot of purpose and meaning, which is exactly what I was struggling with not having. Um, and so when I finished with that sort of volunteering thing, I no longer had a thing to work towards, which has like always been my whole identity. Um, and so I've started feeling a little bit purposeless again. And the thing is, I really want to be okay with just existing. And so there's such a strong urge for me to just get a job or, you know, start a project or do something to just give me some meaning. Um, but I'm also really resisting that because I really, really want to learn to just be okay with existing and not achieving anything. And like, I want to be able to, I don't know, sit on the couch all day and not hate myself for it, you know? Um, as I say that, I also don't know if that's a good thing because I also feel myself falling into the trap of, I don't know if it's laziness or if I'm still burnt out or if it's procrastination because of fear of something. And so I don't know if it's right to feel okay doing nothing all day. I think there's a balance, and I think it's a process of finding that balance because I think all my life I've been on the other extreme of constantly needing to do things and achieve things. Um, and so now I think I do need to find a new equilibrium. Um, so I know I need to have grace for myself. But yeah, the other thing that's making me feel a bit down now is I'm just really missing home, which I did not expect. I mean, I love home, but because this has always been my dream and I just expected to at least travel for a year before I start wanting to come home. Um, but it's 4 months in and I'm really missing home a lot. More specifically, I miss Stinky, my cat. My hobo cat that I rescued in ComServe, who weaseled his way into my life against my will. I now miss him because he is my baby who I birthed. And I miss my kitchen. I miss having a fridge and I miss biltong. Oh my god, I can't tell you how much I miss biltong. Unfortunately, I grew accustomed to eating it every flippin' day. And so now I am craving it like crazy. And I just cannot eat another Asian meal. I will literally rather chew off my arm. And don't get me wrong, it's delicious. But just the thought of eating another rice or noodle dish gives me shivers across my body. And all of this sounds very privileged, I am aware. Um, but I really just miss home and home food, and just like the comfort. I I expected to struggle with this. I didn't expect it to affect me this much. Just jumping around from place to place, and I'm not even jumping. I mean, I'm staying in places for quite a while. Um, my mom keeps saying, "Why are you traveling if you're just staying in the same place?" So that doesn't help. But yeah, just living out of a bag and jumping around from place to place has been harder than I expected. Um, so anyway, I that's where we are. I definitely am feeling way better than I was last year. And this year has already been exponentially better just within myself and also just learning so much about myself and growing a lot internally, never externally because I don't grow. So yeah, I guess that's my update of weeks 1 to whatever, 8 or something, I don't know, of 52 of 2026. Um, and this is me just fulfilling my commitment to myself, because I think I would have felt really shitty about myself if I didn't do this. And I was very, very close to not doing this. So, yay me. See you next week. Hopefully. It's only my second time doing this, and it was already a very big push to get myself to do this. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to be too hard on myself, but I also think it's time to push myself a little bit. So yeah. Bye.